Hey, this is Langerman from Violinna.live, helping you along your musical journey. This video is about pronation and supination of the bow hand and the bow arm. And maybe some of you are wondering, why is this so important? And I was wondering that too when I was growing up. And actually, I wish I knew about this when I was younger. I remember when I got into college to do my undergrad in violin performance, I was playing standard repertoire, like the Bruch Concerto, Mendelssohn, but my bow arm was very, very stiff. I had a Russian bow hold in high school, which was very funny. I don't know how it ended up happening, but probably from watching all those videos of Heifetz. I was in love with Heifetz and Milstein in high school. So I came to my undergrad holding the bow like this, and the problem is that the back two fingers, they lacked strength and flexibility, and because of that I struggled a lot with consistency in my sound, especially when playing from the frog to the tip. One of my biggest struggles was getting a beautiful sound at the frog, and I would get tense a lot. The tension from my bow hold traveled up my arm and into my shoulder, so the sound would get trapped. So one of the reasons that we need to practice the skills of pronation and supination is for injury prevention, tension release, playing with a good sound, and also having an even sound in all the different parts of the bow. It's actually one of the biggest challenges of playing stringed instruments, getting the same sound at the frog and at the tip. So in this video, we're going to do some exercises that I wish I knew about when I was a little bit younger. And maybe I did know them a little bit, but I didn't practice them. And only in undergrad, I realized how important it was. And thankfully, my teacher was very patient with me, and we spent a lot of time developing the strength for my back two fingers here. So I'm very thankful for that. And I would like to share this with you so that hopefully you don't have as many struggles as I did. So the first thing we're going to do is actually practice our forearm rotation. We'll start with the bigger muscles first. It's always good to start with the large muscles. And actually, I talked about the forearm rotation in a previous video. You can check it out up here and in the description down below. But just a quick overview, the forearm rotation is essentially from the elbow here, just practicing pronating and supinating the hand like this, the entire forearm. And that's what's going to allow you to play with a more even sound. So essentially, at the frog, the pinky would be kind of facing the floor. And at the tip, you'll be more in a pronated position. So that we can grab the string with the bow hair the same way. Again, there are more detailed exercises for that in my previous video. So from the large muscles, we need to go into the hand. This is where it gets tricky. The back to the ring finger and pinky, they are a little bit weaker and they need extra time to strengthen. And with the bow, especially the bow hold, sometimes the pinky and ring finger, they end up like this, they end up flat like this. And what happens is that sometimes it causes them to collapse and it doesn't support that extra weight of the bow at the frog especially. So the first exercise we're going to do, we're going to hold at the frog right above the string, about an inch above the string. And we're going to curve our fingers the best that we can. And we're going to practice putting the bow down on the string, but only by pushing down with the fingers, and then lifting the fingers, curving the fingers to lift the bow off, and then straightening them to put it back down. So all 5 fingers are actually participating. You probably cannot see it, but maybe you can see it from this angle. My thumb is also has to be curved and then straightened to do this motion. So now, if you are struggling to do that motion because the back two fingers are not quite able to lift the bow like this, here is a more fundamental exercise for you. So we'll put the violin down for that. So the first thing we're going to do are pinky push-ups. So we're going to actually lift the pinky off and let the bow kind of drop. And then we're going to use the pinky to push the bow stick up. So we'll do it a few times. and pinky push up. So that's the first thing. Then the next one, we're going to practice holding the bow vertically like this. We're going to practice with the ring finger, pushing the frog towards you like this. It's a very small motion actually, but if you pay attention right here. And this is going to help you later to play bow strokes like Cole, so it'll help you get a good articulation for the starts of notes. And also, it's going to help you play smoother at the frog. Now, if this is difficult to do, pushing with the ring finger, here's another thing you can do. Hold the bow horizontally like this, relax the arm, and take your left hand, take the other hand, take the bow stick, and make sure that the bow hand is very relaxed, just kind of resting naturally on the stick. Make sure it's not stiff like this, just kind of rest it like this. What we're going to do is push and pull the bow with the left hand. And we're going to allow the fingers to react. So they're going to adjust naturally depending on which way I'm moving the bow. So if I am going to move the bow this way, like a down bow, watch how my fingers, they naturally go into this pronated position. And if I'm going to do an up bow, I'll push the bow that way. It goes into a more supinated position. Notice how right away the pinky curved and the other fingers, they kind of rotated a little bit more downward. The idea is that this works if your thumb is bent. Your thumb has to be very supportive of the bow in order for this to work. If your thumb is straight like this, if it's stiff, you might end up having this problem. You can push and pulling the bow, but the hand is not staying on its spot, you see. Now I'm going to relax my thumb, and the idea is that the thumb is going to stay there. And with that, the fingers are going to more naturally adjust. So this is the sensation we want to feel. Another thing you can practice is simply with this bow hold, just practice lifting the index finger to make sure it's not stuck. Lift the middle fingers to make sure they're not stuck. Lift the pinky. This is how you can make sure, you can check for tension this way actually. Because sometimes when we play with tension, and this is something that I had problem with, when we are used to playing with tension, it comes to the point where we are not aware that the tension is there because we're so used to it that to us it feels normal. And it takes somebody else to point it out, and then by the time we notice it and then also start really adjusting, making the change, it takes a long time. So now we're going to do one more exercise with the violin. This next exercise is going to help us play with the same sound in all parts of the bow. And this is a finger lifting exercise from Simon Fisher. Actually, Dunas has a very similar exercise, but the Simon Fisher one is the one I'm more familiar with, so that's the one I'm going to show you. So the idea is we're going to play a long bow, and we're going to lift fingers on the way down, and we'll put them back down on the way up. Actually, I'm going to play on the D string because that way you'll see it better in the camera. So I'm going to start at the frog with all my fingers down. Now in my mind, I'm actually going to divide the bow into 4 parts. So at each quarter, I'm going to stop. So starting with all fingers even, with the center of weight distributed evenly among all the fingers. Starting at the frog, we're going to go to the first checkpoint, which is around the point of balance. And right here at the point of balance, I'm going to lift my pinky. And I'm going to go to the center. This is around the place where our arm makes that square shape, the 90-degree angle. I'm going to lift another finger here. So I have index and middle finger left. Now I'm going to go to the upper half. And I'm going to lift my middle finger. I have 2 fingers left, just the index finger and the thumb. Now I'm going to go all the way to the tip. My hand is very pronated right now. Notice that I have also that forearm rotation that I talked about earlier. So now going back from the tip, I'm going to put my middle finger down, and we're going to go to the 1/4 mark, so halfway between the tip and the middle. Put one more finger down. Now here, back in the middle, put the pinky down. Make sure your pinky is going down round. And then go to the point of balance. Now at the point of balance, before we go to the frog, we're going to actually lift our index finger and check that you can balance your bow hold like this without the index finger on the way up. So now let's put this all together. I'll stop talking in between all the different parts. I'll still stop the bow so you can just watch and see how it looks. So the next step is to do the same thing, but just without stopping the bow at all the checkpoints. Notice how when you do this exercise, it kind of forces your hand to do the pronation and supination rotation. And finally, we are going to do the same thing without lifting any fingers, but try to keep the sensation from what it felt like. Try this exercise every day for a week. Now there are a lot of other exercises for this kind of stuff. I don't have time for that many in one video. Maybe we'll do another video about this in the future. But let me know in the comments below what was your biggest takeaway. And if you found value in this video, please give me a quick thumbs up down below to help support this channel and so that YouTube is more likely to share this with other folks. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell. Happy practicing.